Today we're going to be checking out Scottish guy debunks American stereotypes. This is going to be a good one. It's going to be interesting to see all the stereotypes and then being debunked and stuff. So yeah, let's just straight into this and see what we got.
Guys, I think we've been talking a lot about the cultural connection between Scotland and the United States of America recently. And in today's episode, I want to clear the air on a few things.
Right.
So that's why I'm going to be talking about American stereotypes that we have in Europe.
Debunk
That's
'em.
coming right up after this. Hello everybody, how are you doing? And welcome to today's episode of the vlog. It is great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining in. If you're new here, my name is Shawn.
Man.
I'm a vlogger from Edinburgh in Scotland. I talk all about Scottish culture. I take you on Scottish adventures. I take you adventures around the world and giving you a bit of a Scottish perspective on things. And it's just been awesome to build this community right here on YouTube, speaking all things Scotland and connecting that with people from around the world who might have a connection through ancestry and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, listen, thank you so much for joining in. It is great to have you here. Welcome. If you're new, please do not forget, I need you to hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Then you will be like family from here on in.
True.
And if you hit the notification bell,
to him and here, right? His link is in the description. Make sure you do that.
YouTube might even bother to show you some of my videos from now on. Have you done it? Of course you've done it, because you are a hero. Right. Today's episode, I want to talk about American stereotypes that we have, not just in Scotland, but throughout Europe. And you know what? I thought I knew America before I went there. I really thought I knew it. But since I was first taken there over a year ago with the United States Embassy to the UK on a cultural experience, cultural exchange trip, it really opened my mind. But not just on that trip, because in that 1 week, we went through a lot of emotions in that week. We met a lot of different people from different sides of different debates. And it was all just a lot of information shoved in our faces. So I think even in that week, as much as we got to learn a lot, we also got probably the wrong end of the stick on some things. We probably jumped to conclusions. I certainly jumped to conclusions on a lot of different matters. But nonetheless, through doing that trip and through building this community and doing these videos on YouTube, I think I have learned a little bit more. So I compiled this little list anyway, guys. 10 stereotypes about America. And I will say right off the bat that I think there are actually 10 misconceptions about America. I'm going to be debunking these 10 things, because a lot of them are just ludicrous. And guys, listen, I will be talking about some of the most interesting.
I wonder if any of these are things that I thought of about America, like stereotypes, he's going to debunk right now.
And heavy loaded points at the end of this. So you're going to want to hang on in there until the end. All right, number one, Americans are rich. I think America is a rich country, definitely. Like the UK is a rich country, Scotland's a rich country. We all live in rich countries, mostly in the Northern Hemisphere.
To be fair, I wouldn't say Americans, like all Americans are rich, but like when you compare like the average salaries and stuff, I've noticed that America average salary is higher than the UK. So like richer, sure, but like nah, not all rich.
But does that mean every single person in America is rich? Certainly not, right? That is definitely one of the things I learned on my first days in the United States of America. Part of that trip I went with the United States Embassy was really to kind of break down these misconceptions that we have as British people, right? So they wanted to show us everything, the good and the bad and the ugly. And I think that was a good thing, right? Because like we all have these built up images of America and the wealth, right? You get to New York and you see all these massive buildings, California, San Francisco, with all the technology stuff that's going on out there. You know, all the biggest and best companies in the world appear to be from America. I used to actually work for a couple of them. And when you see all this innovation, when you see all this culture coming through on the media and on our TVs and all that kind of stuff, you think, wow, that is a rich country. Of course America's a rich country. It's stupid to think otherwise. But that does not mean everybody in America is rich, right? One of the things they took us on that tour was to see people who are in more impoverished areas. You see really fast, really quickly, there is a lot of struggle and suffering in America as well.
Right, true. So are you telling me not all Americans are driving around Lamborghinis and stuff? Yeah, but then again, when I think about it, America is definitely richer though, because like it's very rare you'll see supercars and like really expensive things in the UK, right? Like you will see every now and again, but not that much. Whereas like in America, I don't know, I might be stereotyping right now, but I'm pretty sure in America you see it's like supercars and stuff more common, more frequently, and more like expensive items and stuff. I don't know, I could be tripping, but
you see really fast, really quickly, there is a lot of struggle and suffering in America as well in terms of poverty. Just like there is here in the UK. We have a lot of poverty here that's not talked about, and I think that's the thing, right? We all in our countries like to celebrate our successes. For example, here in Scotland, we've got a massive homelessness crisis. We don't talk about that.
Oh, really?
We don't tell you guys in America when you're coming to Scotland, Come and visit us. We've got Loch Ness Monster. We've got castles. And we've got lots of homeless people. We don't say that, but it is a fact. And I guess it's the same in America. The wealth is concentrated just like every other country in the world, right? There's a lot of very rich people in America, but there's a lot of poor people. And I actually had one really deep experience that I would like to reference, okay? My first day in Orlando. I left the hotel like 7 in the morning because I wanted to go out and take some nice drone shots of a lake that was next to our hotel, right? I went around the lake, and when I got to the other side, there were about 5 or 6 people sleeping rough under the trees, okay?
Ooh.
I didn't want to wake them up, so I moved about 500 yards down the way, and one of the guys who was up anyway came over and spoke to me. He was interested in my drone, and then we ended up just chatting for about 20 or 30 minutes. He told me all about his life and how much he struggles and stuff. He sleeps in the park. I mean, that is definitely not wealth, is it? Exactly the same as we have here in the UK. So I think these things need to be put into context. America's a rich country with a lot of amazing things in technology and finance and industry, but also there's a lot of poverty.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. When you think about it, I also think like, even though I think America's averagely like got more, well, average salaries and stuff is higher and stuff, and people have more money in that, it's actually also that I also think that America has more homeless people. You guys do have more people in general, but like, I always see clips of like homeless on the street, homeless on like in parks, homeless. Like, you will see homeless people in the UK, but it's mainly in like cities, and they might be on like the streets and stuff. But I've never really gone to a park and seen a homeless person. You know what I mean? So
misconception number 2 that I'm going to be busting: Americans only speak English. The first thing I would say about that point, okay? Let's not even talk about America first. Let's talk about the UK. The level of people here in the UK, and up until very recently, I was one of them, can only speak one language.
Right. Interesting. I would also think most Americans just speak English though. Just like the UK, right? Like, I'm pretty sure 90% of the people in the UK can only speak English. I could be way off with that stat. I actually don't know the stat, but most people only know one language. And is America not the same?
English. That's the only language the majority of people in the United Kingdom can speak. If you find a Scottish person who was born and bred in Scotland, or an English person who was born and bred in England,
right,
they have no language skills whatsoever.
True.
And
Same.
then they go traveling around Europe, they go to France, they go to Spain especially, and they expect the locals to be able to speak English. So before we start lobbing bricks, let's make sure our house isn't made of glass. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. I can't speak for America on this front, but I can say that in the UK, we are really, really bad at languages. The only reason I learned another language is because my wife is Brazilian, so I learned Portuguese, and it took me 10 years. I am not naturally gifted with languages, but most people here are not. I met a lot of people.
I would love to learn another language, but like, yeah, just, I don't know why. It's English. We're not good. We're not good at it.
Especially in New York and especially in Florida, that spoke loads of different languages, certainly Spanish. And I think that's one of the awesome things about America's immigrant culture, right? Is the fact that lots of people have these backgrounds from all around the world who can speak different languages. So that is definitely a myth, in my opinion.
Wait, that's really, I never knew that. Let me know if you're American right now and if you can speak more languages, if that's true. Like, does a lot of Americans speak more than one language?
Misconception for you that Americans are fat. I don't know the specific statistics about obesity in America. I know they are pretty high, but I don't know the exact number, right? That's one thing, fair enough. But listen, in Scotland, we are the most unhealthy nation in all of Europe.
No. Listen. Not all Americans are fat, right? Listen. But statistically, I'm pretty sure your obesity levels is one of the highest, right? And look, I don't blame you. I've seen your guys' food. I'd be amongst those obesity levels. I ain't gonna lie if I was living in America. But yeah,
we're
not all
the sick man of Europe. That's what they call us, okay? We, I think, have the single lowest life expectancy in Europe and Scotland. If it's not the most, it's definitely in the bottom 3, right?
Oh, wow.
A lot of factors involved in that. Smoking, drinking, but mostly it's because of our diet. We really, really badly here in Scotland. A lot of people don't know that, right? We are the sick man of Europe for a good reason. We are very unhealthy here in Scotland.
Same, I'm so unhealthy.
How can we have this misconception of America that Americans are all unhealthy and eat loads of junk food? And of course, I know that is true as well, guys. Like, and here's another thing I noticed about America, right? Of course, you might have a lot of people in America overweight. Big deal. You actually also have a lot of people who are at the opposite end of the spectrum. I've never, ever in my life seen so many really buff people than I saw in America. One way or another, like, who cares what people look like and how they are, right?
Hey, look. Listen. It's your life. You live once. Do whatever you want to do, right? Look, if you want to be wham and overweight and massive, right? because you enjoy the food. Fair enough. But it is unhealthy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as long as you know that, right? Like, I'm skinny, but I know I'm unhealthy. Like, I'm forcing myself to drink water now because I've been drinking Coke. Well, I have had Coke today. I'm still bad. But I was drinking like 3-4 cans of Coke every single day for the past like 8 years. And like, bro, my insides are really bad. I know that like my life especially is got way down because of my diet. Bro, today was the only day in the past like 2-3 weeks that I had normal food, cooked food, and not a takeaway. I've been eating takeaways every... Bro, my diet is so bad. But yeah, you live once, man. So as long as you know what you're doing, like you could be really skinny and really unhealthy, or you could be really fat and really unhealthy. As long as you know, do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you... It's up to you, bro.
Not something for anybody to judge. Certainly not us in Scotland, okay? We are nobody to judge on this. Number
Scottish
4,
people
okay?
are crazy. I ain't gonna lie. All the Scottish people I know, like all my Scottish friends and stuff, they're crazy, man. They are crazy, bro.
Americans do not travel. I think this misconception is based on the fact that something like only 30% of Americans have passports.
Mad.
Is that right? Something like that? Whereas in the UK, we've got a very high number of people with passports.
Mad.
But nonetheless, let me just introduce you to something very quickly, guys, okay?
There's a reason for that, though. In the UK, you have to travel to have a good holiday, right? Like a nice beach, nice hotel, nice environment. You have to go abroad because the UK is not good enough. But in America, you guys literally have like 50 countries in one. You guys have really nice places. If I was in America, I wouldn't travel out of America either. I ain't gonna lie.
That is the Scottish tourism boom that we have been experiencing here in our country over the last 2 or 3 years. We have been exploding in tourists here in Scotland for a number of reasons. Outlander is definitely partly responsible for that. The amazing show and book written by American author Diana Gabaldon, all about the Scottish clan systems, filmed right here in Scotland. Numbers have exploded by multiples of hundreds here in Scotland at all of our tourism sites. And who's responsible? Who do we think is responsible for that explosion in numbers of people coming to Scotland? It's mostly Americans. Outlander is an American phenomenon. Outlander has fans from all around the world. Let me just say that. Everywhere in the world there are Outlander fans, but the most part, the biggest fan base is in America. Listen, last year, around about 500,000 Americans came to Scotland. That is a lot of people. Okay.
Yo, you Americans are really like in Scotland. What? Huh? What do you guys go and see? I suppose like Scotland is quite nice, to be fair. I've never, even though like Scotland's not far for me, right? I've never really thought about going there.
Okay, so yeah, maybe when you're talking about all of the United States as a whole, it's got like how many hundreds of millions of people? The percentage of that of people who actually travel abroad might be small, but listen, there are numbers of factors to think about here. For a start, America is huge. A lot of the states on their own are bigger than the UK. The United States of America is like the size of continental Europe. And that is one of the big criticisms I have of people here in Scotland and the UK. There's loads of places here that people just don't know about, have never been to in their lives. You know how many people here in Scotland and the Central Belt never go to the Scottish Highlands? It's staggering, all right?
He's talking to me right now.
In the States, there are so many places I would want to explore before even thinking about going abroad. This is a really bizarre misconception, okay? Americans are backwards when it comes to science. This one I find particularly bizarre, okay? Fair enough, there are a lot, it seems, of, for example, climate skeptics from America who make a lot of noise. But there are an equal amount of people on the other side from America as well. So I think this is just one of the clear problems of trying to lump everybody in together in the same pot and saying they're all the same, because they're really not. And like, just think about this for a second. NASA, the leaders of space technology, travel, exploration in the world, always has been until now, is from the United States of America. Like, who can argue against that?
Wait, is he pretty much saying that America's a backwards in science? Who's thinking that? I definitely don't. I don't know who's thinking that. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know who's thinking that. You'd think that America is one of the leading countries for science and stuff. You'd think UK is backwards for science. What does the UK do for science-wise? I don't know, bro. This is out of my league here. We're going up a notch in like intelligence. I know this stuff, bro. All I know is NASA's cool.
NASA have done some spectacular things, and also, as I mentioned earlier on, technology in America is like way ahead of everybody else in a lot of different sectors and departments. Medicine and healthcare.
Other than China.
All that technology comes from the States. So yes, there might be a lot of people who are not really into science.
And Japan. pretty much most, like a lot of places other than UK. UK is not really up there with like techno. We just like kind of like just copy everyone else. You know what I mean? We just take from everyone else.
And really kind of understand the things that are going on in the world, but there are just as many people who really do, much more than we do. So there you go. That is definitely something that should be busted. Another misconception: America is a country where religious fanatics rule. This is something that's really deep and multi-layered, multifaceted. But I think the thing is, with this point, it's more prevalent, much more prevalent in certain states than others. Bible Belt, for example, very heavily Christian, but that doesn't mean that the whole country is. I met so many people, especially in the north, who were atheists. It's a very big mix, and there's also people from all sorts of religions in America. I was even invited to see some of the multi-faith stuff that goes on from people from all different types of religious communities. I was very interested in New York, for example, to see areas that were very heavily influenced, for example, by Roman Catholicism, especially from the Italian communities. And then there was like the areas that were dominated more by Orthodox Jews, and also areas with a lot of Muslims.
Yeah, listen, this is out of my league again. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't really pay much attention in RE. RE is like a lesson in school that you do, religious studies. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I don't really know too much. I ain't gonna know too much.
Muslims, there's a very big mix of religious diversity in America, and I think that's cool. And the way that we look at it in Scotland definitely is different, right? And let me explain why. Scotland is an old country, right? We have been doing religion, we have been doing Christianity here in Scotland for literally thousands of years, way before the United States of America was even founded or even thought about. And I think the natural progression, when you take a time period like 1,000 years, for example, very few people now are Christian compared to 20 years ago or compared to 100 years ago. Especially the younger generations. It is not a Christian country anymore. A lot of our churches, for example, are mere relics. You know, we have churches struggling to find people to fill spaces as reverend, ministers, and priests. It's just a thing that...
Yeah, to be fair, UK is kind of the same, right? I don't really know anyone that goes to church. I actually don't know anyone.
Happens over large periods of time, right? Number 7, Americans are workaholics. Obsessed with work.
Wait, I thought Americans are workaholics. I've seen so many videos where it says like Americans are workaholics. That's why you guys don't like want to take time off and stuff like that. You'd rather work and stuff like, and that's. This is interesting. Interesting point right now.
You know what? That's true. I have never been anywhere in the world where people are so committed to work and that work ethic. And I think this is actually something to be proud of, something to be celebrated. Why is that a bad thing? Why is this a stereotype that anybody should kind of pour scorn on? What is the American dream? Is the American dream something that is real or not? Whether it is or not, today it's not something for me to decide, but what I can say is it has been for a lot of people, and it does seem like the place, and I definitely get this impression in America. If you go there and you work hard and you really...
You guys like to work.
You can be basically anybody you want to be. And listen, I've got first-hand experience of this. I worked for 2 massive American companies when I worked in London for 5 years. Both of them were banks, based on Wall Street. And when the bosses from America used to come over, I think frankly they were quite shocked at how many days holiday we get here in the UK and like how quickly we leave the office at 5 p.m. because apparently in their offices they stay until 10 p.m. They don't get hardly any holidays compared to what we get. I don't know.
Wait, 10
p.m. leave the office at 5 p.m. because apparently in their offices they stay until 10 p.m.
Yo. Right, note to self, never get a job in America. I'm sorry. I'll be the last one there. I'll be the first one out. 10 p.m. 10 p. Hey, fair dues. Fair dues. Hey, if you want to do that, you do that. I ain't doing that though. There's no way. I'm only staying there for what I'm paid for. I ain't gonna lie. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm taking all my holidays and I'm taking all my sick days. Bro, hey, listen. You guys don't want to do that? Sure. You know what I mean? I'm doing it.
They don't get hardly any holidays compared to what we get. I don't know. I'd like to know what you guys think about this point. Definitely down in the comments below. Americans work hard. Probably don't get as many holidays as we do. But is it a good or a bad thing? I don't know. I don't think it's bad.
It depends if you don't mind it.
Next one, okay? Americans are loud. Americans are loud. And what the heck is the problem with that? Now,
they are. Listen, I know you guys like to say I'm loud, right? I get it. You've said it in other videos. Yes, I know I'm loud, right? But I'm loud compared to like other people from the UK. Do you know what I mean? So like if you get me and you get someone from the UK, I'm probably going to be louder. But that's just because I'm half deaf. But in my experience, right, when I'm talking to someone from the UK compared to America, right, you guys are louder. You're more confident. You're more like outspoken. It's a good thing. It's nothing but a good thing. Louder the better for me.
Now, in a Northern European context, let me tell you, Scottish people are actually considered pretty loud. And we are loud. We like to talk a lot. I think I'm an example of that. But I consider nations
Scottish
that are quiet to be a little bit less fun, less outgoing. What I experience in America are people who are very outgoing, and that comes across as loud,
good.
but really it's not. I remember being on a cruise in the Mediterranean about 5 or 6 years ago, right? Bumped into a lot of Americans, and I had a blooming great time with them. We were up partying all night, and I could be as loud as I wanted and enjoyed myself. And listen, only a couple of weeks ago, a friend came to me and said they went on a holiday, and like it was a little bit overshadowed because there was a lot of really loud Americans there. And I couldn't help thinking to myself, like, blooming hell, enjoy yourself. That's what life is, right? Make friends, go crazy, have a party. Number 9.
Yo, this is the difference though, man. Like, let's say we're on a cruise ship. The Americans are being loud, right? Having a fun time. Bro, it would be the UK, like people from the UK that will be in the room complaining about how loud they are. And they're just having like, yeah, bro. I don't know why that is. That's so weird, isn't it? That's actually weird. Just, bro, be yourself, man. It's like people in the UK is scared to be themselves and just, you know, they don't want to look a certain type of way.
And like, as I say, we're getting to the meat of this. But this is one I can debunk right away. Americans are rude. My experience is Americans are not necessarily rude. What they are is more direct, okay? And especially in places like New York, I find people there are very direct, and it's not rude. They come to you and they'll say what they think. I think it's funny that in New York, for example, when...
Wait. That could be rude, though. Like, let's say someone from New York came up to, like, me. Let's say me and my mom were shopping in New York, right? On holiday. And someone from New York came up to me or my mom and said, yo, you're ugly. Or like, yo, what you're wearing right now is trash. I'm like, what? That would be, you know what I mean? So, but when you go like, when you're talking about like rude and like politeness and stuff, yo, UK is very like, if you're doing something in public, you might get some weird looks and stuff. So I don't know. There's rude people everywhere.
And there's something going on in the traffic, or somebody bumps into you, or sometimes if they get annoyed, they'll just say it. It's not like being rude, it's just being upfront and direct. But on the opposing side, a lot of Americans I met were so friendly, so kind, and so helpful, more so than I had experienced in many countries around the world, let me tell you. That is something I want to debunk. People from every state, people from every background I met, rich, poor, doesn't matter where they were from, I met lots of really amazingly nice, kind people. So it's just something that's not true. And
bro, there's rude people everywhere, there's nice people everywhere. They're just everywhere, man. You know what I mean? My experience with Americans can't be any better, though. Like, talking to you guys on Instagram, and especially on my stream on Twitch, you guys come in, and oh my God, you guys are just so nice. You guys are so nice. Like, I'll be streaming, and before I was doing all this YouTube stuff, I'll have people coming in from the UK, and they just roast me all the time. They just roast me all the time, right? Which is fine. Like, we have fun with it and stuff. But you Americans, you guys come in, and to be fair, there's some of you that roast me. There are some of you that roast me. And James, if you're watching this, you're one of them. But no, most of the time you guys are nice, yeah. Yeah, so there's just, yeah, there's rude people, there's nice people. You know what I mean? They're everywhere, man.
And that leads me nicely onto the last point, and this is heavy, loaded, but I think it's something that we need to discuss absolutely, okay? And that is that Americans are ignorant. A lot of people around the world always say this about Americans without even really knowing them, or even going to America. They'll say, Americans are ignorant of the rest of the world. And you know what? From my perspective, to say...
Oh, well, rest of the world. Okay. Yeah, I can see why people... Yeah. Okay. I think that's because, like, Americans are always like, America this, America that. You're very passionate about your country. You don't really leave your country that... Well, not like all of you, but you know what I mean? Like, that's what people think.
Say that Americans are ignorant is an ignorant comment. Because at the end of the day, there are ignorant people anywhere you go in the world, right?
Yep.
Including here in Scotland.
Yep.
You've got a lot of ignorant people here.
Oh, there's so many in the UK. Hence why we voted to leave the EU. I don't know why we would do that, but it's because people are ignorant in the UK and they're like, yo, England is ours and ours only. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, UK is very...
Really
That's the right use of the word, right? I
don't know about other cultures and other places, and they don't know about America. That is for sure. Listen, I was probably very ignorant on my first trip to America as well. I'm an open-minded person. I like to go places and really just experience it and just go with the flow, right? I guess one thing on my first trip when I went, a lot of the talk of that trip was on heavy subjects that we don't really understand here in the UK, okay? Things like gun culture. Because that's something that we just don't understand here. We don't get it because we don't have it. It's not part of our society. It's not something that we even think about. I'd never ever seen a gun in my life until I went to America. So when I went there for the first time and I saw guns, a lot of guns, it was like, oh my God, like a bit of a shock to the system. Does that mean that I'm wrong to think like that? No, it doesn't. But at the same time, as a Scottish person, as a European going to America and kind of seeing that culture and being in that culture, so it's wrong for me to come to America and put my standards based on my society and how my society is set up on how it is over there. It's just wrong, it's not right, it doesn't work. That is ignorance on our behalf. True. A lot of people have been going through old videos of that trip and seeing the fact that I was out there on a bit of a gun day, and that day was set up by the US Embassy to really kind of immerse us in that culture. And you know what, to take somebody who's never been in that culture...
You know what, I'd actually love to do that, right? Regardless of opinions on guns and whatnot, I'd actually love to go and shoot a bunch of guns. Bro, I've always played like games and shooter games and stuff like that. I would love to shoot a bunch of guns. And do you know what I'd also love? Regardless of my opinion of guns, if you want to know my opinion of guns, come to my stream, twitch.tv/L3WG, and we'll have a chat about it, right? But I would love like a full-on like James Bond gun war. Oh, yo, it would be sick, bro. I understand why people have them, but yeah, I ain't talking about opinions about guns here.
Shove them in at the deep end, literally. It's not necessarily dangerous, but it could definitely lead to misunderstandings. See, for example, how I was handling a gun very nervously, like, and I just hope you realize it's not something like me coming there and saying you're wrong or anything like that. It's just saying it's not part of my culture. I don't understand it. Right. And I'm definitely willing to like investigate and have a look into it. And I think I did that, right? I got into the deep end. I went to a shooting range. I didn't particularly enjoy the experience. That doesn't make me wrong. That doesn't make me a wimp or anything like that. Like a lot of people have been suggesting. It's just different, right? But at least I can actually step over to the other side and look. And I think partly that is what the important issue is on both sides, right? Ignorance is a really loaded word that doesn't really mean anything unless you put context into it. But equally, I met so many people in America who were really open-minded and knew a lot about different cultures, knew a lot about my culture in Scotland, and we had some really awesome, deep conversations about these types of stuff with people who were really interested in listening in what I had to say, and vice versa. So, you know, I've met ignorant people all around the world. Is America any more ignorant than anywhere else?
They're everywhere, man. So. That was a really good video, though. I actually enjoyed that. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, though. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. If you did, make sure to thumbs up, subscribe for more content. And yeah, if you guys want to talk to me live on Twitch, my Twitch is right there. It's L3WG. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.